the infrastructure and the voice services globally for Western Union.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, Nandal, we're going to start your interview. At first, I would like to hear a little bit about yourself. What are you doing at your current job?
Right.
Would you give me your description of your really good day? And I would like to hear your description of a really bad day. Okay? Obviously, I don't want you to miss any technical details. So go ahead.
Sure. I'm having around 6.5 years of experience in IT industry, and I have been working on multiple technologies basically. So uh, there are I have been in Unix and Windows system administrator role from start of my career, and currently I'm working for Nuance Communications, where I used to work on incidents uh, on healthcare infrastructure services. And my core experience have been working in Windows and Unix environment, like technologies like Active Directory, DNS, DHCP, IIS, then VMware. And I have been working on incident management for more than 4 years. And before to Nuance, I have been working for Tata Consultancy Services, where I was working in change execution role. So it's I have worked on change execution and incident management throughout my career, and the technologies have been pretty much the same. There have been some monitoring tools like Isinga, Nagios, SolarWinds.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds excellent. So you kind of gave me an idea of your expertise. But if you remember, one of the questions that I have asked you, give me your description of your good day, and then give me your typical description of your really bad day.
Uh, Good day. Good day. I would say something that on that day I have been able to troubleshoot and fix that. So, you want me to give?
I would like you to give me a particular example and something that you might have done recently, something that is good on your memory. And again, I would like to hear all the technical
Okay. Okay.
details, and I might be stopping you in the middle and asking you more. So give me a good day where you solved a serious issue and you were able to get a business back online. Go ahead.
Right. So, recently there was a big issue related to. There was there was one of the application which I was handling for healthcare infrastructure services. So, we have been getting there were a lot of processor related errors. So, I have been told to troubleshoot that issue on that particular application.
If
So,
I may ask, if I may ask, you said there were a lot of which errors? I did not get that.
there were a lot of application related errors,
Hmm.
users were not able to see the website application, launch the application properly. So I've been told to check that issue. So I've been going through the logs and seeing there were a lot of exceptions. So on that particular exception was coming from a particular database server. So some database, was not working properly. So I have been able to correlate, but on long term, I have been told to we should get alert for this. We should be notified before our users experience this kind of scenario. So I have, actually configured alerting for that. So I use one plugin which actually grabs through the logs for the exception related that particular error and gives us the alert for that issue. So it's basically configuring Nagios or Isinga alert for that particular application, and we will be notified earlier. So I was very pretty much happy, and I got an appreciation for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's dig a little deeper. Okay. So now you just gave me a general type of a description. So you had an application. Application was generating a lot of exceptions. You looked at the log. You were able to trace down the problem to the database,
Mhm.
but what you have done to fix this problem and what was the actual issue, I wasn't able to understand. So I would really appreciate if you go nice and slow and explain to me in detail what was the exact issue with the database.
Uh, Basically, the exception related errors were on the database because of there was the high CPU usage for the database, but we see like the CPU get utilized at a particular time. So the exception was because the server was pretty much high in CPU usage, but I have been told to get that exception before users, yeah. So
So,
exception was,
so,
yeah.
so wait, nice and slow.
Mhm.
I need to make sure I understand you because we are on the phone and it is very hard to hear you. So what I heard, there was a high CPU on a database at a particular time of the day.
Mhm.
But do you know what was exactly generating the high CPU usage?
Basically, what is happening, like there was some scheduled queries which were running on the database from the users and all, like on that particular time frame. More CPU users because on that time there was a lot of users running to that, queries to the database, basically, and we have been told to see that exception can come anytime actually. So we have been told to see and monitor that also. So yeah, so basically in that time frame, basically the database is utilized from users, or you can say there were some processes running on that machine also. So that all makes actually high CPU usage for that database.
Okay. So what I have just heard, I just want to make sure I understood you. So what have you described? You have described the situation where a database was experiencing a high CPU usage, and high CPU was mainly generated by users executing queries and some scheduled jobs.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
So now I have a follow-up question. How did you figure that out? Did you have a login into SQL Enterprise Manager? How did you actually figure that out? Or was it a DBA working in conjunction with you? How did you figure that out?
Basically, we are using Process Explorer, which will gives us the which is what process is occupying the lot of space. So, for example, from some jobs or something running, so it will give like that particular SQL is giving utilizing that much space. So we can use some queries to see on the database actually. So there was actually given query stored for us to on the database, which will gives us the output like what is currently running on the database. So so on that particular time, we go ahead by seeing the
But
process
but
explorer.
were you using those tools, or were you doing that with the help of DBA? Who was
Uh,
doing of
uh,
the troubleshooting that you are describing?
Actually, we are going on the server, but there are some saved queries which are told to us to check on the database. Like there's saved queries told us to check for this particular, issue. There's saved queries. We are not, expert in queries, but I have been basic. I am used to that console. I'm actually from system administrator point of view. Like I've been assigning database permissions also, read and write, permissions on the database sometimes, but on queries part, there are some stored procedures or queries which are told to us to run and see that is happening. So we are correlating with
Okay,
that.
okay, excellent.
Mhm.
So that was your good day. Okay, so sounds like you were able to successfully execute that. What was your bad day?
That day, as far as I remember, there there was multiple incidents. There are a lot of incidents coming actually in our inboxes, but sometimes it happens we have to engage different teams for a particular instance. So what happened recently, there were like more than 10 incidents coming at and we had like 2 to 3 resources at that time. So I was not able to cope up with that kind of load. So I have been yeah. So I would get overutilized. So that I call a bad day because I'm not able to focus on one issue. So in my I mean thinking like
So it sounds like you were overloaded. So it was issue after issue, and that
yeah,
was simply overloaded.
yeah, that I
Okay,
call a bad
makes
day.
sense.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now let's get to some technical questions. I'm
Sure.
not going to be asking you a lot of them. Okay. Let's start from something very simple. Okay.
Okay.
So here you are attempting to log into a Windows server.
Okay.
You enter your username and password. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what you are simply seeing blank wallpaper screen with no desktop. Okay. So my question to you, okay, what are some of the options you have
Mhm.
to help to continue the process to log in you entirely into the server?
Okay. So you are basically
So
saying.
I'm gonna repeat it again. So
Mhm.
here you are attempting to log in into the Windows server. Okay?
Okay.
You entered your username, you entered the password, and it seems like the server is logging you in, but you are not seeing a desktop. All that you are seeing is a wallpaper screen. You are not seeing the actual desktop. What can you possibly do to get the desktop shown on the server?
Okay. So uh, basically, what I see we are not able to see any icons on the system. So we
Yes,
can.
yes, you're absolutely right. Yes.
So I would try to run explorer.exe to see if or I will try to enter like
Okay.
Windows.
Very good. Very good.
Mhm.
That's what I was looking for. Okay, now let's get to something a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Explain to me what is global catalog in Active Directory. I need to understand what that is and what does it contain.
Global catalog is basically the set of objects for the Active Directory domain services. It's have the all the set of objects and is a I mean is a server is a domain controller that stores a full copy of the objects in the directory of the host domain, and it's basically read only copy, and it supplies some of the objects it basically actually helps to find the objects, and it's actually the read only copy of the objects in the domain, you can say.
But okay, you're giving me bits and pieces. You have to be a little bit more specific. So you mentioned that it holds some copies of AD, okay? But I need you to be a little bit more specific and tell me exactly what is it holding, okay? And I need to understand, does it hold all the pieces I need an AD? Is it a partial replica? Is it a full replica? Can you be a little bit more specific?
Sure. So basically, it's like a data storage source containing partial representations of the objects found in the multiple domain Active Directory, or you can say Active Directory domain forest, and is actually stored on a domain controllers specifically assigned as a global catalog servers, and it can look at objects in any domain without knowing the actual domain name. And yeah, so basically it's a read-only copy of the you can say all the partial representation of the objects found in the Active Directory forest actually.
Hmm. Okay, very good. Now the next question, okay? Explain to me what is called a lingering option, a lingering object, and how does it occur? when does it happen? What is a lingering object in the AD, and how does it occur?
Uh, so actually, sorry, lingering. Can you just, is it related to Active Directory, restoration or something like that?
Not really. There is a particular thing that I'm looking for. So I'm going to repeat my question again. Okay? What is the lingering object in Active Directory, and how does it occur?
As far as I remember, like lingering objects can occur in a domain controller if there's a no replication for a particular interstitial and that is more than the lifetime of a tombstone actually, and it's the domain controllers actually tries to connect to the replication topology, and objects that are deleted from the Active Directory services when the domain controller is offline can remain on the domain controllers as a lingering objects actually. So like there are the objects which are hanging on the domain controller when the domain controller is offline. As that falls, I'm not sure like, but that is what I remember actually in bits and pieces.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. You gave me your best, and I do really appreciate that. So, looking at your resume, I've seen that you are, you're pretty much ambidextrous. You mentioned that you mm, know how to administer Windows boxes. You also know how to administer Linux.
Right.
My question to you, if you had a choice, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself more targeted toward a Windows or more targeted toward a Linux? What is
Yeah, right. So actually, I started my career as a Windows guy, and then actually did some certification on Red Hat, and uh, basically now I'm in more into like Linux, and it's like I would say like primary would be Linux and secondary would be Windows, but I have been always working in that kind of environment with like similar kind of role for Windows. I mean, the ratio is pretty much the same on which I've been working, but I have been more in Windows from my like 2 years extra experience in Windows, but I'm advancing myself Linux more actually nowadays. But I have experience in terms like Windows more. So you can say like I have more experience in Windows, but looking forward in Unix opportunity. I mean Unix learning more nowadays. So
okay? So basically, what I heard is you have a considerable experience in Windows, but you want to make sure that you are exposed to Linux, and hopefully you can reach the same height. So it sounds like you would like to maintain the focus on two of those operating systems. Okay?
yeah, right. I have experience on Unix as well, but like 2 years less experience. But I have like in environments where there are
So
dual skill technologies.
let's
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about Linux.
Okay,
Okay.
sure, sure.
So have you ever administered a box in Linux that has SAN storage attached to it?
Yeah, SAN storage, we have been using for extending disk, we have been using the storage. Yeah, I have been like for EMC power storage.
So do you know what type of storage was it?
Yeah, there was like EMC power path storage, which I have been working on while extending or
EMC.
yeah.
Okay, so EMC PowerPass is not a type of storage.
Oh, sorry.
EMC, yes, it's the vendor's name,
Okay.
but was it a VMX, was it DMX, VMAX, Extreme IO? Do you remember what type of storage was it?
Sorry, can you repeat like the options that you said?
Uh, so EMC is just a vendor.
Right, right,
They make many different models. And
right,
you mentioned PowerPass.
right,
PowerPass is a software that allows you or helps you to attach EMC storage. Okay,
right.
it offers a particular functionality. Do you know what that functionality is? Besides just simply doing attaching of the storage. Do you know what the functionality is of a PowerPass software?
Yeah, like it's basically is used because of the multipathing concepts, and it automates the data
Mhm.
path
Very
management.
good.
Yeah,
It is used for multipassing.
yeah, that
Okay.
was the main.
And
Yeah.
okay. So when you install a PowerPass, what's the difference when you are installing a PowerPass with a serial number and without a serial number?
Uh, Sorry. What? Could you repeat the question?
Okay. No problem. So there are two ways you can install EMC PowerPass. One is called with a serial number. Therefore, you are being given an appropriate license. Okay. Another one is called the free mode, where you can just install the PowerPass. What's the difference in functionality?
Uh, Actually, I haven't actually. There were storage teams which are installing that, but sorry, I'm not actually that confident about this question because
Okay.
there was some
Okay.
storage team which was installing, and we were just using that actually.
No problem. No problem. Understood.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. So couple of things about organizational things.
Okay.
So at your current place of employment, would you consider yourself a technical team lead, or are you an individual contributor? How would you classify yourself?
Uh, I'm actually a senior member in my team, so I'm an individual contributor who looks after incidents and resolves those issues. So recently we have been told like there is a chances of like someone picking up and becoming a team lead. So basically I'm a senior member, but could be possible like there are chances of promotions later on. But basically most of the times like I have been in senior or like in directly looking for incidents or change. So I haven't been in team lead kind of role. So yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank
Do you
you.
have any questions you would like to ask us?
Yeah. Like what kind of job role would it be, and would it be there shifts in this kind of role? So basically.
I don't think there would be shifts, not at this point.
Okay.
It would be basically the role is a mixture of run as well as engineering. Okay. I'll be very honest with you, it's more of an engineering than run.
Okay.
Seems like you have some good run experience. In terms of your knowledge, yes, some of the knowledge does exist, okay, but if you're going to ask me an honest question, do I see you as a senior? I don't, okay. Um, I mean, I didn't see a lot of deep understanding of the concept. Yes, you were giving some basic one-sentence answers to my questions, but I didn't see some deep insights, okay. Again, I'm going to be writing all of those recommendations to HR, and we'll see where it goes. Anything else you would like to ask us?
No. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. And Martha, I'll be giving you a call. All right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.